to 7 of f of x here, you'll get an answer of 15 because the area underneath the curve from 0 to 7 is 15 square units. That's the blue region. But if I were to ask you to integrate from, let's say, from 7 to 10 of f of x dx, you would get an answer of -4. That's the red region, or close to red. Why is it negative? Because it's below the x-axis. When the area is below the x-axis, you get a negative number. Now, of course, if you were to integrate from 0 to 10 of f of x dx, you would get an answer of 11, and you'd have no idea what that 11 represents if you don't have the graph in front of you. You just know that there's more area above the x-axis than below the x-axis, but you don't know if it's 5. You don't know that it's 15 and 4. For all you know, it could be, 50 and 39. You don't know that. You just know the difference is 11. So in this section, when they ask you to evaluate the integral, just evaluate the integral. They're not asking you, does it represent the area? How much of the area is this? How much of the area is that? We're not going to worry about that right now. And some of the questions, they'll just ask you to evaluate the indefinite integral. So in that case, you're just taking the antiderivative like you did on the test. Are we good so far? Does everyone understand the difference between an indefinite versus a definite integral? All right. Now, the key here is you want to make sure you practice these. So again, I'm officially starting 5-4. The title is called Indefinite Integrals, but half of the problems in the sections are definite integrals, so I have no idea how they got that title, Indefinite Integrals, for this. Maybe they're introducing it now. All right, so the integral of x times x squared plus 2 squared dx. Now, here's the thing. There is no such thing as a product rule or a quotient rule or a chain rule when you're taking the antiderivative. And this symbol right here, integrate, means you're taking the antiderivative. This is an indefinite integral, meaning you just take the antiderivative and put a plus c. Now, since I haven't taught you use substitution, which is a technique you're going to learn in 5-5, so we're not using that right now. The only way I know how to do this is to multiply this whole thing out, so then it will be a bunch of sums and differences. So I'm going to leave the x alone. Can you square x squared plus 2? Yeah, multiply x squared plus 2 times itself. You get x to the 4th plus 4x squared plus 4 dx. I multiplied that in my head at high speeds. If you cannot multiply in your head, you go to your scratch paper, somewhere where nobody can see you, because you are in Math 151, and then you FOIL it out. My calculus professor used to say, you go to the phone booth where no one can see you, but there's no more phone booths around. All right, now let's distribute the x. Now you see how it's a bunch of sums, right? The property of integral is, you don't really need to write this next line in red. I'm just doing it to show you this is what allows us to just the top is equal to this plus this plus this. That's the property of integration, is the integral of a sum is sum of the integrals. Now, you don't need to write what I wrote in red. It's just, I just like to go from here to here. I'm just going to treat them like separate questions. But that's what allows us to do that, because when it's a sum or a difference, you just treat them like separate questions. All right, what's the antiderivative of x to the fifth? 1/6 x to the sixth. Plus, what's the antiderivative of the next term? So add 1 to the exponent, 4, divide by 4, 4 over 4 is 1. Plus, add 1 to the exponent, x squared, divide by 2, 4 over 2 is 2, plus c. By the way, FYI, this reminds me, not to pick on you guys, but since you guys struggled reading the question for me so much, I'm going to read this question for you. Just focus on the warning. You do got to know how to read this, okay? You can't just say, that squiggly thing, x, then a parentheses. So here we go. Ready? The integral of x times parentheses x squared plus 2 squared, the whole quantity squared, x squared plus 2. I messed that up, 2 times, and then dx. So let me do it again. The integral of x times x squared plus 2 squared, that's going to be tough. Well, if someone doesn't see it, they're going to think, well, it's the whole thing squared, so that part I can see, dx. But yeah, you know, something like that is acceptable. So if someone was writing it down, I would say the integral of x, open parentheses, x squared plus 2, close parentheses, squared, dx. That way they can write it. I say open parentheses, close parentheses. All right. Don't say the squiggly thing next semester, okay? Say the integral. Integral, not squiggly thing. All right. Now, this next one is actually very similar to the exam question. So, when you have division and only one term in the denominator, you can just split it up. Because right now it's a quotient, but so I do that. Then I'm going to simplify it. So let's see. The first term is 4/3 x squared plus 5 over 3x dx. Now I can see that x being in the denominator will throw some people off. You don't want to move it to the top and say x to the minus 1 because you can't use. So here on this guy right here, you don't want to move it to the top and write it as 5/3 x to the minus 1 because if you use the power rule, you add 1 to it, it becomes 0. It's not going to work. So here's what you could do, because I know this is going to be a natural log of x. So if it's bothering you, you could always split it up into 2 integrals. Now, why would I do that? I'll explain why. So, and again, I'm holding off on taking the antiderivative, although I could take the antiderivative because you could always factor out a constant. So I'm going to take out the 4/3 and just have an x squared. I'm a lot more comfortable with just seeing an x squared there. Similarly, the reason really I want to take out the 5/3 on the bottom on the right side there. So you can do it that way. Just makes it a much easier, more step, but at least it's easier to take the antiderivative out. So hopefully at this point, now everyone is comfortable taking the antiderivative. What's the antiderivative of x squared? 1/3 x cubed. You don't need to write plus c twice. Just write one time at that. Plus, what's the antiderivative of 1 over x? Natural log of x. And then plus c. By the way, a lot of times you'll see an absolute value. If you left it off, that's fine. So you get 4 over 9 x cubed plus, the reason why the absolute value is there is because it's saying, hey, natural log of a positive number. And sometimes they won't put it because they'll just say the directions, let x be positive numbers anyway. All right. Any questions? Yeah, let me know, guys, a couple questions here, the best I can. And I type it up. Then when you're done with that one, this is my notes here. I'm not gonna put hyperbolics on the test, but I'm just throwing it in there once in a while. Best I can get on those, and I'll go over it. Hyperbolic cosine. And there's hyperbolic sign. And you're taking classes at Cypress College, by the way? They were on the news. Apparently, there's a professor at Cypress College that hates police officers. Yeah, it was on the. I saw it right on there. I don't know what class it was. And they wouldn't say that she was actually an adjunct professor. And it's funny because it happened around the same time as I was talking trash about contractors. Except she was talking about police officers. But imagine if it was an art class. Was it an art class? I thought, yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, they never said that. I never saw the class. I imagine it's not a physics class or a chemistry class, but I figured it was some sort of liberal studies. But no, but it was really weird. I'm not making fun of anyone, but she's all like, I don't trust the police. So the guy was like, well, who would you call if someone is attacking you? She goes, not the police. I don't trust them. And I go, well, then he would say, well, do you have a gun? He goes, no, I don't have a gun. Well, what are you going to do then? I'm not. I mean, I'm not. It's not really a Democrat versus Republican thing. I mean, I don't consider myself either. I don't. I don't like either side. But I think both politicians, just in general, are not good people, generally speaking. All right, let's go over this. So the antiderivative of secant tangent is secant x. Now the antiderivative of e to the x is itself, the minus 2 is just the constant that's attached to it. So it's minus 2e to the x. Now here's a tip. If you're not sure why the answer is what it is, for a lot of people, it's easier to take the derivative than it is to take the antiderivative. So if you're unsure that this is the answer, you go off to the scratch paper and you just check. You say, all right, suppose you gave me a test question back in the day, and by back in the day means 5 weeks ago, and you asked me to take the derivative of this. How would I take it? And you don't have to put the plus c when you're checking, because you know that goes to 0. You say, all right, the derivative of secant is secant x tangent x. And then the antiderivative of e to the x is itself, and then minus 2 is times minus 2. So just e to the x, the antiderivative is itself. Does that make sense? So this is x to the 3 halves plus cosh of x. I'm not going to, you don't really need to do anything with the cosh. You just have to rewrite the radical. Now I'm ready to take the antiderivative. So you add 1 to the x1. 3 halves plus 1 is 5 halves. Divide by 5 halves is the same as multiplying by 2/5 plus the antiderivative of hyperbolic sine is the hyperbolic cosine. I mean, sorry, hyperbolic sine is the answer. Let's see. How many of you got that? All right. Now let's do some definite integrals. You want easy, medium, or hard? We'll start with the easy one. All right, do that one. Take the integral from 1 to 3 of 1 plus 2x minus 4x cubed. Now, the answer is not necessarily the area underneath the curve, because you don't know how the graph looks like between 1 and 3. You just evaluate the integral and high five your friend. You know, one of the things, you know how people say, oh, you know, a lot of the stuff we learn in high school and college, you know, is not useful. So they should teach more useful stuff. And I agree. I did not know until a couple of years ago that you know how your house is built? You think it's wood, right? Have you ever actually seen a construction worker open the wall to fix it? There's hardly any wood in there. There's some wood, it's all plaster. I was so disappointed. I'm like, there's nothing here. How come I did not learn this in high school or college? Do you guys know that? Well, now you do. Your wall, it's not wood. Like there's a wooden rod that goes there, but then you might have to go a foot and a half before you see the next wooden rod.
Have you never watched any like DIY, like build your house stuff or like remodel stuff?
No,
Oh,
I watch sports.
Did you ever like mount a TV or like anything to a wall?
No, when I was in high school, TVs were not mountable. They were huge, big old tubes, and yeah. But when you mount a TV, yeah, because I before here I used to live in apartments. I didn't want to mount the TV to a wall. Well, my last apartment because I knew I was going to eventually move out, and I want to pay for the holes. No, I watch sports greatest response. I say that usually to Brian too. If I really want to offend the person, I would say, "Do you play golf? Do you watch golf?" I go, "No, I watch sports." I can't believe only in America they call golf a sport. Like most countries, they would laugh at you if you call golf a sport. Like if you go to the Middle East, I'm not Latin American, but I'm sure if you go to Latin American countries like Argentina, Brazil, they would not, they would laugh at you if you said golf is a sport. I mean, they play soccer there, you MMA, and you go there, you swing a golf club, and you walk there
Golf is
casually.
hard.
Huh?
Golf is really hard, believe it or
It,
not. Right?
it is hard, but that doesn't make it a sport. Playing chess is very hard, but it's not a sport. Throwing darts at a wall is very hard. I'll lose every single time, but it's not a sport.
do you think bowling is a sport?
Whew. Okay. I don't consider it. Yes, your arm does get tired after a while. My definition of a sport, it has to take some level of cardio. That's just my definition of a sport. You have to. It has to take some level of cardio. So, like, but so does a quarterback. What do you mean a quarterback? It takes cardio to play quarterback. Not as much of as a running back, but it still takes cardio. Okay, we're gonna get into the thing. Bowling. I mean, it's bowling. Yeah, sure, whatever makes you happy. I have very strict definition of a sport. Divide by 2, 2 over 2 is 1, minus x to the fourth, divide by 4, 4 over 4 is 1. So plug in 3 minus plug in 1. Are we good so far up to this point? 3 to the 4th is 81. 1 plus 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. Okay. So that's 12 minus 81 minus 1. How many of you got negative 70 as the answer? Ooh. You guys get negative 70? Also, to be actually fair, one of the reasons I don't consider a sport, it actually comes from language. In the Persian language, when you want to go play a sport like basketball, soccer, whatever, the literal translation of sport, it kind of translates to exercise. So I don't think of golf as exercising. So that's kind of where it messes up in the language. Hold on, I'm gonna put a couple more here for you guys to do. Do that problem, and then when you're done with that one, here's another one for you to do. So in case you can't read the second one, it says pi over 4 underneath, then pi over 3. So pi over 4, pi over 3, secant theta, tangent theta, d theta. So do these two problems and I'll go over. I'll be right back. James, you look great today. Look at James, just the professionalism, how he's very still, just like focused at the iPad like this. A new cut. It's the same. This is sexual harassment here. Yeah, don't say that to any of your female professors, James. Just word of advice. Okay. Okay. So doing this problem, we're gonna multiply this out. So 6x squared minus 2x and 15x, that's plus 13x minus 5 dx. So then we got, let's take the antiderivative. So x cubed divide by 3, so 6 over 3 is 2. Plus 13 halves x squared minus 5x from 0 to 4. Now we'll plug in 4 minus plug in 0. Now the nice thing is the 0 will give us 0 in this case, so that's nice. But make sure you run it in your head that you do get 0 for everything, okay? Don't just automatically assume, because sometimes it might be like an e to the 0, which is 1. All right, so you got 64 times 2, that's 128, plus 16 divided by 2 is 8, times 13, 104, minus 20. How many of you got 212? Madison, did you get 212? Your participation has been lacking today after that incident at the beginning of class.
I'm taking the smart route and keeping my mouth shut.
No, you're supposed to not keep your mouth shut so we can make fun of you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to do that.
Oh, very good, James. Liliana, how are we doing over there? All right, so this next one, I'm going to rewrite it down here. Secant tangent ticket. You really just, you want to be familiar with your trig. So what's the antiderivative of secant tangent? Secant, right? Because the derivative of secant is secant tangent. Now we're going to plug in pi over 3 minus plug in over pi over 4. Now, secant is 1 over cosine, so I'm going to just change it to 1 over cosine of pi over 3 minus 1 over cosine of pi over 4. What is the cosine of pi over 3? That's the cosine of 60 degrees. Hold on. No, I never had this issue. My hands are sweating, so I can't scroll on the iPad. Okay. So cosine of 60 degrees is 1/2. So 1 divided by 1/2, which ends up being 2. We'll do it on the next step. Cosine of pi over 4, that's the 45-degree angle. So that's root 2 or 1 over root 2. So this becomes 2. 1 divided by 1 over root 2 is 1 times root 2 over 1, so root 2. How many of you got 2 minus root 2? No, you cannot nod your head. I didn't see in the chat. It doesn't count. All right, so that's 5-4. Let me see if there's anything else you want me to do on here real quick. Aaliyah, are you here?
Yes, I am, Professor.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Anything you want to mention to the class?
Yeah, I remember that survey link that I wanted to go over during the end of class. So whenever you're done with class, yeah, I would like to make a little announcement.
Okay, so let's take a 5-minute, oh, sorry, 10-minute break. We'll start at 4:23, okay? 4:23. Okay, I'm back. Close to 420, I'll take it. Oh my God. So, hello, people. So, here's the thing. After today's lesson, which we're pretty much finishing up 5-4. I'm assuming you guys didn't do a thing over the weekend for 5-3. So I could answer your questions on 5-4 next time. Now, here's what I want to do with 5.5. 5.5 is the last official section of this class. I did put 6-1 on the syllabus, but it's really a section that you do in Math 152. But I can talk about it next time we meet as well. Now, here's what I want to do with 5.5. I want to try doing a recorded lecture on 5.5. Like, hopefully I can get the recording done before Thursday's class. And you guys just, this way you can watch it, you can pause it, rewind it, look at it. And in case maybe a couple of you might miss class, you still have it to refer to, and then, hey, you can watch it again next week. It's one of the more important sections that I want you to really understand. And it's a tough section to learn if you happen to miss class. So that way it's on recording. Having said that, before you start watching it, you really want to learn section 5.4. You want to know how to take an antiderivative really well. It's kind of like, remember when I showed you how to do the power rules for derivative? You really got to know how to take the derivative of y equals x to the third and say 3x squared really fast before I can teach you the product rule, quotient rule, chain rule. So same thing here. Know how to take these basic antiderivatives before I teach you use substitution. And I want to do is do the use substitution, make a lesson, I'm going to use the whiteboard over here, and I do a recording of it. And then, of course, you can pause it and take your time watching it, rewind it, watch it a second time so you can learn it really well. And we'll do that in place. If I can get it done, I'll post a link to it on Canvas, and I'll email you. So you don't have to keep checking Canvas. I might not get it done until Wednesday night. We'll see. And then in place of our meeting for class on Thursday, do you want to just watch that on Thursday? But please watch it by end of the week. Meaning, don't wait until an hour before Tuesday's class next week to watch it. Or in some of your cases, watch it an hour before the final exam starts 3 weeks from now or 2 weeks from now. 3 weeks, actually, yeah. Our final exam by the way, is on May 20th. Yeah, because I can see, like, we won't mention any names, but for example, like Daniel right here, or Brian, they might just at noon on Thursday, May 20th, start watching the lecture that I put up. All right, so Aaliyah, were you disappointed? Did you want to meet on Thursday? Aaliyah really looks forward to this class. This is her highlight of her week. So I don't want to take that away from her.
Definitely is, but it's all good. I usually have quizzes on Thursday right after this class, so I could use the time to study as well. So that's
okay. I got plenty of grading to do, as you know. So hopefully I can use that class time to grade your exams. But I mean, I'm doing the recording of the lecture some other time, so it's anyway. Oh yeah, Aaliyah, go ahead. Yeah, Aaliyah needs to speak with you guys for 5 minutes. Go ahead.
All right. Hi, you guys. So I think on the 23rd or the 22nd of April, you should have received a survey link from Hornets Tutoring regarding your experience in the class with a tutor. It's just for them to get some information. It's for research purposes. So I would really appreciate if you guys could go ahead and take that survey. I hope you guys can find it. I checked with a couple of you guys in my session last week. You guys said it was available. So if you don't find it, maybe look in your spam. You should be able to find it. And I would really appreciate if you could take about 5 minutes to kind of do that and turn that in. And if you have any questions, let me know. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I should be able to help you out. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. You don't have to put in a good word if you don't want to, but it's just like we want to, we just want to gauge how it's going online, especially because it's been about a year now that Hornet Tutoring moved online to a remote into the remote environment. So yeah, we would like to get some feedback on that. All right, Lauren, I'll check on that. Did you check your spam by any chance? Okay. Well, it's all good. I'll check out. I'll let them know because the 141 class, Professor, yeah, they didn't receive it. I think there was something wrong. There was a glitch on over there. So I mentioned it to them, but Lauren, yeah, I'll check for you and I'll let you know. Thank you for letting me know though. But yeah, everyone else, if you guys could go ahead and fill that out, I would totally appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, are you good? Okay. So anyway, I'll stick around if you haven't, or were you done, Elia?
Oh yeah, I am. Yeah, it's pretty
So
much.
yeah, I'll stick around if you have any questions. Otherwise, please do the homework for 5.3, 5.4, or I mean 5.3 you should have already done, but 5.4 for sure in the next couple of days. And then when I do make the recording of 5.5, I'll post it. And I'll email you so you don't have to keep checking Canvas. When I email you, it'll be through Canvas, so some of you don't necessarily get a notification. So make sure you check your Canvas email. And that's pretty much it. And I'll say everything like we're not meeting or we're meeting or whatever. We're not. I'm planning not to meet on Thursday, but if I get the recording done. But then I'll see you Tuesday next week. Okay. And I, by the way, when I do grade your exam, don't get too disappointed. If you want to talk, discuss your grade, you can discuss it next week, but don't give up. Talk to me before you give up. Maybe if you can get, if you're a couple percentages away from a higher grade, that's definitely reachable. But let me grade the exams, put the answer keys up on the Canvas, then we can talk about it. All right, take care. Bye.
Sorry, and we're expecting an email, Professor, for the lecture you said? Sorry, just to recap.
Yeah, I mean, I'll email everyone through Canvas because that way I can just send an email. So, but I noticed some people don't get my Canvas emails because they don't get a notification when Canvas, but that's through Cal State Fullerton. I'm going to send an email to everybody through Canvas. But I think in the past, when I send an email through Canvas, you guys get it, right?
Yeah.
When I say, hello, class, I'm saying something, yeah, then you, yeah, I'll send it. So that way you don't have to check Canvas every day to see, oh, is the link to the Zoom there? The link will be on the announcement section like we did earlier this semester. Did I do that earlier this semester one time? Okay.
Okay, and sorry, one last question. Since I know we're not meeting up Thursday, are we going to have like a quiz on Tuesday by chance or anything like that?
No more quizzes. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Professor. Have a good one.
All right.
Have a good weekend.
Okay, bye.